I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here to NNSCRA TV's coverage of Race 17, Season 7 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series, as we're here ready to go racing at Iowa Speedway. It is the second straight year that Iowa Speedway makes its appearance on the schedule. It was the replacement for the track that we saw the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers at yesterday afternoon, Kansas Speedway. And last year was that debut race for Iowa Speedway, where the driver who starts on the pole position here tonight, Mitchell Collins, went to victory lane. So Collins would like to keep Iowa Speedway all to himself and go 2 for 2 here at this mile racetrack. We'll see if he can do it from the pole position. If we go back to last year's race, Collins started from 7th, led 21 laps en route to the victory. He did not start from the pole. That was actually RJ Bishop, who led 39 laps and finished last car on the lead lap around the 25th, 26th position. So it'll be interesting to see if Mitchell Collins is able to, with the track position he gained in pole day qualifying yesterday, be able to keep it en route to what would be his first victory here of Season 7. Another driver who's also looking for his first checkered flag on the season is Jesse Turner. Turner's been having an excellent year with 4 top 5s and 6 top 10s in the first 16 races, 4th in overall points, 48 points out of the points lead. He's been up in the top 5 for most of the season as far as the standings are concerned, but he's looking for that first checkered flag as well this season. Dylan Poteet went to victory lane back at Darlington. That, of course, set him on a streak of good finishes that put him not only up into the top 10 in points, but now in the top 5 in the point standings. He actually took 3rd in the standings from Jesse Turner last week at Dover. Poteet is 3rd overall, 44 points out, looking for his second checkered flag of the season. And then completing the second row is going to be the former champion, Chris Dollerton. Dollerton was beginning to climb his way up through the point standings last week at Dover, though did not go his way. Seems like he's hit a bit of a wall in terms of his momentum. He lost 5 spots and stands down to 25th. We'll see if he can get back on track here this afternoon at Iowa Speedway. 42 drivers attempted to qualify this race. All 42 made the show. Take a look at your playoff standings in regards to 3 drivers, particularly down around that cut line. That would be Kyler Sustre, Jessica Shelton, and Matthew Rodriguez. As you see the top 10, Reese Banks moving up into the 10th position after a good run starting on the pole last week at Dover. He joins Levi McIntyre, Will Goss, James Qualls, Dylan Poteet, Casey Hoyt, former winners on the season that are up inside of the top 10. And with that being said, that now means that every single one, with the exception of 1 driver of our former winners on the season, are inside of the playoff grid. Make the main focus that 6 wildcard spot battle. Right now, Connor Breton, the highest running of the 2-time winners outside the top 10 in points, 19th overall, so he's got the number 1 seed of the wildcard drivers. Jessica Shelton jumped up 3 spots after a good run last week at Dover, so she's the number 2 seed, and Matthew Rodriguez is the cut line driver, 30th in points, so he is still eligible for a wildcard spot, currently the 3 seed of the wildcard drivers, but he needs a good run here tonight to put a gap between himself and that 30th in the standings position. As far as the one-time winners, you got Dylan Young, 12th in overall points, Caleb Fogler, 14th, and Zachary Fitzwater, 15th. They are currently the 14th, 15th, and 16th seeds as far as the wild card drivers are concerned. The only driver that has won previously this season and is inside the top 30 that's not represented in this playoff grid would be Kyler Sustre. The big reason? Failed to qualify last week at Dover, lost out on a ton of points, and dropped down to 28th in overall standings, only 4 points ahead of the top 30 in the standings cut line. Matthew Rodriguez and he are both in perilous positions because they are non-charter entries. Every week they have to qualify in, and if there's an extra driver or two that are non-charter based, it increases their chances of not being able to be a part of the field and getting those valuable points. Now, Matthew Rodriguez, the good news for him is he's got 2 victories. So if he remains in the top 30 in points and just hovers around 28th through 30th all the rest of the regular season, he's got a better chance of his 2 wins leapfrogging him over all the other drivers with 1 victory. Kyler Sustre needs a second victory to be in that same scenario, because right now, with him being down around that cut line and having only 1 victory, that puts him behind a plethora of drivers that I feel is just going to increase of one-time winners here down the home stretch towards the playoffs, and it's going to have him on the outside looking in to a playoff position. So we'll see what the 4-car can do. He is in the field here this evening, and of course is a former winner on the season. But it is time to go down trackside and get those most famous words in motorsports. For the second time this season, we're ready to go racing in the Midwest at Iowa Speedway.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Nice citizen, be there at the end. It's a long race. We just got to stay in contention, no mistakes. That's the big key, no mistakes today. We get up there, we get in the top 10, we ride. That's what we got to do today.
This season has been unpredictable, full of surprises. Last week at Dover, we saw James Qualls snap a 151 points-paying race winless streak stretching all the way back to the early sessions of Season 3. Qualls subsequently all but solidifying himself potentially a spot in the playoffs. He was good in qualifying last night as well. Going to roll off the grid from the 12th position, as you saw in your starting lineup. We'll see who else is going to join him and a host of others as a winner here this season. Could it be Mitchell Collins or Jesse Turner, as Fords for the second week in a row have the front row, and we're underway at Iowa Speedway. Drag race to the line. I think Collins, maybe by a splitter, led the first of our 88 laps here tonight, but it was super close between himself and Jesse Turner. Cars in the wall back there. Zach Rogers got bounced into by Daniel Voiles, came back up into the 26. I believe the caution is out. No, they must have saved it. How in the world did they save that? We're still green. They're still going. This is where it was at. Around the 6 and the 26, and somehow we stayed green. Normally under green flag runs, we don't show split cam replay, but we got to show that, because how in the world did we not have a caution? Great save by Zach Rogers, who had a great qualifying effort here yesterday. Daniel Voiles has got some damage on both the left and the right sides of his Coke Zero Sugar Ford Mustang. That'll be something to follow up later on, especially if we get into green flag pit stops, and whether they'll take the time to repair that damage or not. As Levi McIntyre has moved up into the 3rd spot, so now blue ovals 1, 2, 3 on the lineup. Remember I mentioned last season Mitchell Collins started from 7th place, went on to win the first race here at Iowa. Guess who rolled off the grid from 7th? You're looking at him. Levi McIntyre already a win this season at Pocono. Would love to have his first multi-win season. We saw a couple of weeks ago Jessica Shelton become a multi-time winner for the first time in her career. As Benjamin Miles putting the pressure on Levi McIntyre for that 3rd spot. Benjamin Miles had a good run going last week at Dover, was up inside the top 10 for most of the first half of that race before getting terminal damage. Had the whole left front wheel well ripped off of his race car after a pileup in turn 3. Suffered a DNF and subsequently is 36th in points coming into this one. And right behind him, a driver that is now running a 1-season-long winless streak. Last weekend at Dover marked the 1-year anniversary of his first and up to this point only career win, Quentin Moore at Dover. Right now in the 5th position in that 89, Quentin 31st in points coming into this one. So 2 drivers right there, Miles and Quentin Moore, that need good points nights. Even if they don't win, they need a little something to be able to give them some encouragement here that they've still got a shot at making an appearance in the playoffs. Jesse Turner not allowing Mitchell Collins to scamper away with the race lead. We're seeing a lot of drivers running different lines here in relation to the cars around them. Looks like Turner's run about a half groove higher here through 1 and 2, about the same aligned with Mitchell Collins through 3 and 4. Trying to get some clean air to the nose, a little bit of more turn through the center to be able to get a run on the straights. Something else we'll be keeping an eye on during the course of this race as we get closer to green flag pit stops is the lap times. How much fall off is there going to be? Let's go a little further back here inside of the top 10. Anthony McCrory, Connor Breton, Breton's teammate Fogelman, all mixing it up here. 9th, 10th, 11th. Anthony McCrory in the Mazda. Brought Celsius Live Fit on board a couple of weeks ago. Been up and down the last couple of weeks in limbo between 15th and 20th in points. He's 18th in the standings coming into this one. Connor Breton has been on a momentum streak as of late, though, after he picked up that second win of the season at Charlotte. He then had a great run at M&M's, followed up with a great run last week at Dover. He's gained about roughly 14, 15 spots in the last 2 or 3 weeks alone. And this is a driver that, after the All-Star race we were talking about, had a win. Of course, that victory at Texas, but was outside of the top 30 in points, was not eligible for a playoff position. Well, now he's up in the top 20 in points, 19th in standings coming to this one as a 2-time winner. How things can change in the matter of a couple of weeks. Case in point, the rookie out of Northeast Motorsports. And this has been the second straight year now that really that 88 team has been the, well, I don't want to say the #1 team, but the most successful team, I guess, in terms of checkered flags. You think back to last season, Jack Dunnard went to victory lane at Phoenix, made his way up into the Final 4. The other drivers for the team, LaPlante, Miles, Fogelman, they were nowhere to be seen. Now, we've seen a lot more this season out of the other drivers. Austin LaPlante obviously up inside of the top 5 in the point standings after a great run last week at Dover. Reggie Fogelman keeps knocking on the door of the top 10 in overall standings. So the organization as a whole looks a lot better than it did last season. It's not just one driver, one team, one car kind of carrying the entire team as Dylan Poteet makes the pass around Chris Dollerton. That is for 6th. But now we're seeing more of a group effort out of those Chevrolets out of Northeast Motorsports. As right now they've got 2 drivers currently on the playoff grid and a 3rd knocking on the door in the 24 car. I'm impressed with Daniel Boyles in the wall. Bounced off into Zach Rogers. We should have had our first caution by now with what happened off of turn 2. They kept it together. He's got that visible damage, but apparently has not affected his speed. He's hanging on tough in the 8th position, closing up on that battle that was between Dylan Poteet and Chris Dollerton. Is up ahead of him. Got an exchange potentially for 4th place. Quentin Moore trying the bottom against Benjamin Miles. If Miles is going to give up the spot, he might want to do it quickly. You don't want to get freight trained on that inside line, and Poteet is closing up the gap. There you see Miles going to give way to the 89 of Quentin Moore, tuck in line into the 5th position, and try to keep the 31 at bay. Up at the front, though, Mitchell Collins has not opened up any more than about a 0.3 of a second lead. Last time by about a 1/10 and a half, back to Jesse Turner, who then has Levi McIntyre right on his back bumper. So all 3 Fords looking strong here. Not seeing a lot of tire fall off as I would have expected, at least currently about 20 laps in. Maybe about 2 or 3 tenths of a second fall off at this point in time, so I expected to see a lot more, but that's not the case. So this might be, of course we have to wait and see when exactly the pit stops are. I don't know how far these guys can go. And if indeed they go a little bit further, we may see more fall off. But I don't know, at least at this point in time, just looking at the 47 and the 99, if there's only about 2 or 3 tenths to be gained on fresher tires, not really sure the undercut is a super viable option at this point in time. Just noticed a couple of drivers here. Yeah, Nick Gunther in the 55, he's 1 lap down, and Ryan Brommer is 2 laps down. Both have made unscheduled pit stops, apparently. Gunther's running ahead of the leaders. Let's see where the 87 is. Oh, we got a car that's slow on the bottom of the racetrack. That's Connor Breton. And that car is going to come to a stop. Issues for the 88. We've been seeing a slew. I think the caution's actually out. Did I just see the yellow flag waving there? Yes, yellow flag is indeed out. And it might have been for Connor Breton coming to a stop over there on the bottom of 1 and 2. We've seen a lot of mechanical problems here in the last couple of weeks. We had an engine failure. I think it was Matt Haas back at Charlotte. We had, obviously, the Dover problems with Zach Rogers and Joshua Osborne not being able to get off the grid. RJ Bishop, obviously, with an engine problem last week that completely turned the Dover race on its head. His pit road is open and everybody's coming down, but man, I don't know what's going on with all of these engine issues. The biggest reason is the way that these cars are rated. They're all rated with some pretty good spacing between all the statistics, with the exception of engine reliability. Engine reliability has almost max stats, so that way we don't have nearly as many mechanical problems or engine failures, but apparently we're still not able to avoid the situation. Let's look and see if indeed it was an engine on the Interstate Batteries Chevrolet of Connor Breton, who was having a good run. He was trying to break up into the top 10. I think he was around the 11th, 12th position when this happened. Yeah, he was 11th. Let's go back to just before he starts slowing here. This is on the back straightaway. Let's see if it happens over here in 3 and 4. Let's see if we can see any plume of smoke or any indication of the engine going sour. Right there is the issue. You see no smoke. It's just like the thing lost power. Maybe a battery issue? And it comes to a stop down here on the apron of 1 and 2, and I believe this is what brought the yellow flag out. I don't think we had anything else happen. He stopped on the racetrack. Let's see. Lights are on. Breton's still sitting there. And yeah, there's nothing else going on here through the field, so 100% had to be for the 88 stopping on the racetrack there, and you had the leaders coming into the vicinity, so that is why the caution was thrown. Going to be a big break there for a few drivers that I saw had some damage as I went through the field. Saw Matthew Rodriguez had damage. We know Daniel Voiles had damage. I think Laura Chung also had some damage. Michael Norman. A lot of drivers with damage on the right side, more than likely sliding it off the turn 2 exit and into the wall. So those drivers will get the opportunity to spend a little extra time on pit road and get said damage repaired. Ryan Brommer in the 87 will stay out. He is 1 lap down right now, was 2 laps down before the leaders came to pit road. Remember, he and Nick Gunther made unscheduled stops under that green flag run. Gunther is right now being scored on the tail end of the lead lap. I think that'll update to him 1 lap down as he came to pit road onto the last lap here. Ryan Brommer will, I think, have the option. Yeah, I think he's going to stay up here at the front, so that's going to be some dirty air to the nose of race leader Mitchell Collins on this upcoming restart. Ryan Brommer going to hope for a caution to come out, so that way he'll be only 1 lap down, and then maybe get that other lap back the hard way here. Mitchell Collins will restart as the leader with Jesse Turner, Benjamin Miles, Chris Dollerton, and James Qualls now the top 5. Levi McIntyre will be 6th, Kyler Sustre in 7th. Nathan Orman, Dylan Poteet, and Quentin Moore are going to complete the top 10. Looks like we're going to have 39 drivers on the lead lap of 42 still scored in the race. The 88 of Connor Breton. We'll double check on this, but I believe he is back on the racetrack. So I'm wondering if it might have been an electrical problem. They might have swapped out a battery, but he's lost a couple of laps as a result. Ryan Brommer pulls away from this battle for the lead. Jesse Turner is on it. He wants the top position away from Mitchell Collins, who has led all 25 laps up to this point. Turner, I think, might be able to get back to the throttle here. Is he clear? Looks like he visibly is clear into turn 1. New leader, the U.S. Air Force, Ford Mustang out of Lake Effect Autosports. And Collins' problems are not over. Here comes Benjamin Miles to the inside for second place. And last week's winner, James Qualls, up here again, looking for back-to-back victories. Qualls thinking about shooting up the middle there on the front straightaway. Tucks back in line behind Benjamin Miles, who will complete the pass for second on Collins. Qualls will easily move to third as Collins almost brushed the wall off of turn 2. And now he'll slam the door on Levi McIntyre, so Collins, just like that, goes from the lead back to the 4th position. As Jesse Turner now out in front and showing the way. Think back to last season for Jesse Turner. Turner ended up finishing outside of the top 25 in points. I don't remember exactly where he finished, but I think it was like 31st, 32nd in the overall standings. It was a season to forget for him after he has been in the playoffs multiple times in his career. This season, though, a lot of consistency for this team. He's seen his rookie teammate Casey Hoyt go to victory lane twice. Also capture a pole position. He saw Reese Banks capture a pole last week. And is currently running up in the top 10 in overall standings. So Jesse Turner saying, it's my turn. I want to get back to victory lane. And remember, Jesse Turner is the closest active driver right now to the most wins scored by Jose Mills. I believe that Mills has 10 wins. Jordan Lopez, who is semi-retired, we see him a couple of times this season try and qualify into races, yet so far he's been unsuccessful all but one. He has 9 victories and Jesse Turner has 8. So if Turner were able to win here tonight, he'd be one step closer to challenging Jose Mills for most winless driver in Duracell Cup Series. It's James Qualls. Easy pass around Benjamin Miles. This is looking eerily similar to how easy he was able to pass cars last week at Dover. Levi McIntyre, though, following in his tire tracks. Lap time's pretty similar between the 70 and the 99. As now McIntyre will look to make the pass for third on Benjamin Miles. And Jesse Turner has caught back up here to the 87 of Ryan Brommer, who, remember, stayed out under that yellow to get one of his 2 laps back the hard way. He's obviously got much worn tires than the rest of the leaders here, and it is holding up Jesse Turner and company. Benjamin Miles going to use that little bit of a stack up, though, to his advantage. He'll get back to the inside of Qualls to take the runner-up position back. Qualls a little wide there through 1 and 2, and Levi McIntyre will now look to take third place. Mitchell Collins still hanging in that 5th position. He's lost touch with the top 4, but has a bit of a gap back to this battle for 6th. Kyler Sustre needs points after missing out last week on Dover. Caution's out, by the way, just noticed. So that battle between him and Anthony McCurry will have to be put to the back burner for the moment. And Ryan Brommer, mission successful for him. He is going to, by that caution, get one of his laps back the hard way. He'll get to battle with Nick Gunther for 40th position now. As pits are open, and it looks like Turner, Qualls, and a couple of others are not going to come to pit lane here. We ran roughly about, what, maybe 10 laps there? 10 to 15 laps. And apparently some drivers feeling coming to pit road is not the strategy right now. The track position is more important, but Benjamin Miles from 2nd place will make the dive onto pit lane. What brought out this yellow flag, though, is the question. Looks like we may have had a spin off of 2 onto the back straightaway. Let's see if we can figure out who it was. Might have been Nathan Ormond in the 23. After some contact between himself and the 27 of Joshua Osborne. Pretty good shot there with the right rear for the Disney Plus Ford Mustang out of Michael Norman Motorsports. Everyone scatters up to the outside line to avoid. Unfortunately, just a solo car incident to bring out this second caution of the afternoon. We'll take another look at it here at another angle. Hard to tell whether the 23 came down or the 27 pushed up. And maybe a little bit of both. And there you see Orman comes sliding by as the field goes over our in-track camera there, over in the entrance to turn number 3. So Nathan Ormond will come down pit lane, get some damage repaired on his car. A few others on pit lane that were towards the tail end of the field. Matthew Rodriguez with a pit stop. A couple of the lap machines, Ryan Brommer and Nick Gunther on pit lane. Can confirm Connor Breton has returned back onto the racetrack. He is running 2 laps down, currently in the 42nd position, but all 42 cars that started the race are still running. 39 of them on the lead lap as we work our second yellow of the afternoon. Well, next week, we've been enjoying about 3 or 4 straight weeks of double headers with the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers and the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series drivers, but we're not going to see the Lights drivers until we get to Suzuka in about 3 weeks' time. Next week, it's all Duracell Next Gen Cup Series action as we're at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Should be a good one there. That racetrack always seems to bring about very exciting, unpredictable finishes. So cannot wait for that one. Pole day qualifying will be taking place on Saturday afternoon, then the race Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to join us for that one. We'll be heading into Chicago Motor Speedway as the defending winner of this weekend. We are going to be around 50 laps away from finding out when we go back green. Jesse Turner is the race leader. James Qualls in second, Chris Dollart in third, Joshua Osborne in fourth. Those are the drivers that elected not to come to pit road under this caution period. Benjamin Miles, who was the first one down pit road, will restart in the 5th position. Levi McIntyre will be 6th. Zachary Fitzwater now up to 7th. Anthony McCurry 8th. Quentin Moore and Mitchell Collins are going to be the top 10. So good pit stop there for the 66 of Zachary Fitzwater. First time we've mentioned his name all night long. As Jesse Turner, who has led the last 11 laps so far, gets us back under the green flag here. 50 laps remaining at Iowa Speedway. These restarts have been hectic so far. Saw Jesse Turner utilize one of them to get the race lead away from Mitchell Collins. Has not looked back since then. And we're going to have to see there with the 25 of Benjamin Miles, the 99 Levi McIntyre, obviously with fresh rubber. Will they be able to combat the track position held by the top 4, who have got about 10 lap older tires than the drivers up ahead of them? Levi McIntyre going to get ahead of Benjamin Miles, so he'll be the one to watch and see if he can cut his way through the top 4. Zachary Fitzwater going to work his way by Benjamin Miles and try and pick up the 6th position. Fitzwater looking for his 3rd career victory, 2nd on the season. Former winner this year at Mid-Ohio, the road course. Yesterday afternoon, Nathan Fogler, the brother Caleb Fogler, had a good run at Kansas, and I noticed Caleb is making his way up here. About to knock Benjamin Miles out of the top 10 right there, taking that 9th position. And Mitchell Collins moving by for 10th, so Benjamin Miles, despite the fresh tires, he is getting freight trained right now and is trying to find a way back in line. Caleb Vogler coming into this one, former winner on the season, currently in a wild card spot, the 5 seed as things stand currently. But he's not too far away from making his way inside the top 10 in points either. I think he's 23 points out. Trying to pick up his 2nd win on the season, 2nd win of his career as Levi McIntyre is going to work on the tires, the older tires of Joshua Osborne. Osborne for the moment, keeping them at bay. Chris Dollarton right there, former champion, back from the inaugural season. Did a good job in the 3rd position. He's got a bit of a gap back to Joshua Osborne, as does Qualls, as does Jesse Turner. One would certainly have to think that nobody is able to make it the rest of the way, so the top 4, they know they're going to be at a disadvantage right now, and they're probably going to be at a bit of a disadvantage late in the going of this race, but they wanted the track position over the tires on this run, and then hope that it evens out to them cycling back to the front when everybody has to come down pit road. But the one risk that you have of this type of a split strategy is, remember, there's about 10 laps or so difference between the tires of the drivers that stayed out and the tires of the drivers that came to pit road. So you can pretty much expect that when these four come to pit lane, we won't see the other drivers on pit road until about 8 to 10 laps later. In the span of that, which it may not seem like much, we could see a caution fly. And that would put the four drivers that elected to stay out and were on pit road, it would put them a lap down, would completely throw away their strategy. So, something we got to keep an eye on here. I mentioned that one season ago, RJ Bishop started from the pole position. He led the most laps, 39 in total, but he finished last car on the lead lap. So the driver that looks like he's got the best strategy doesn't necessarily win the race. As Levi McIntyre finally makes the pass around Joshua Osborne. That's another thing too, just how much of an advantage do you get with 10 lap fresher tires when you have to spend 3 to 4 laps battling with a driver to get around them? Does that at some point even out your tires with the drivers that didn't even come to pit road and take on fresh Goodyears? We've had some incidents here, some things going on under this green flag run that need to be documented. Matthew Rodriguez, multiple trips to pit road. He is 4 laps down. Nathan Orman's been back on pit road a couple of times after he ended up having that damage to the back end of his race car, that spin off of turn 2 into the inside wall. He's 3 laps down. Michael Norman also with an unscheduled pit stop, and he is currently 2 laps down. So we've got 6 drivers off the lead lap as things stand right now, and there is Rodriguez and Ormond on the apron, and they're both coming back down the pit lane. Not sure what's going on with those two particular drivers. There's Connor Breton, 2 laps down. Ryan Brommer, 1 lap down after he got one of his 2 laps back with the aid of the most recent caution. There's Michael Norman. I'm wondering if maybe Michael Norman came down pit road due to the damage on the right side of his machine. He still got some damage there, but might have had a tire going down. They might have had to clear the fenders. And wow, I'm wondering what happened here to Benjamin Miles, because he restarted up inside of the top 5, and look at where he is cycled all the way to 35th. And he's got fresh tires. So I don't know if they made a horrible adjustment on that car or what. But that is not a good look right now for that 25 car, who was looking pretty good here in the early going of this race. Keith Batson going to work on Zachary Fitzwater. This is just inside the latter portion of the top 10. Keith Batson's had some really good runs in the last couple of weeks. Had the runner-up finish at M&M Super Speedway, had a great run last week at Dover. Comes into this one 11th in overall points, 6 points outside the top 10 in overall standings. Keep this up, and we're going to have Keith Batson on our playoff grid prior to next week's race, going green at the Chicago Motor Speedway. No doubt that if he finishes up inside the top 10 this week, he will be up inside the top 10 in overall points. Will Goss, good run for the rookie, currently in the 12th position. A battle that we don't really talk a whole lot about here during the course of the season is the rookie points battle. We've had all 4 of our full-time rookies go to victory lane this season. Casey Hoyt, Will Goss, Connor Breton, and Kyler Sustre have combined for 6 of the victories so far this year. Casey Hoyt right now currently leading the rookie point standings by 8 points over Will Goss. Saw Reese Banks maybe brush the wall back there for a moment. We got a car stopped on the bottom of the track over there in the entrance to 3. That is Nathan Ormond, and it is going to draw a caution. Yellow flag is out. And I'm hearing reports that that car might be out of fuel. I think that what's been happening is the reason that the 23 has been back on pit lane numerous times, as pit road is open, is the contact we saw him when he hit the inside wall. It was around where the fuel cell would be, around where the fuel intake is, and they haven't been able to fuel the race car. Oh, Josh, what is going on here? This is like Dover last week all over again. as Nathan Norman's trying to get out of the way of the leaders that are trying to pit. Matthew Rodriguez off of pit lane again, as he's been making multiple pit stops. That was, I don't know how light of contact that was with the 47 in the back of the 23, but I'd be a little bit concerned now about that damage on our race leader. Well, caution is out. Let's go back and take a look at what I was describing there with the 23 of Nathan Ormond. And it now looks like they actually did service the 23. But Nathan Ormond coming off of pit lane. He's slow on the back straightaway. This kind of had a look to me that they weren't able to fuel the race car. I mean, that right there looks like the car is out of fuel. Swerving it back and forth, trying to get every little bit of fuel he can into the intake to be able to get back around to his pit stall. We saw something kind of similar to this with Connor Breton, though we're pretty certain that was an electrical problem for him when his car stalled over on the apron in 1 and 2. Nathan Ormond, his car stalls over here into 3 and 4, and the reason that NNSCRA officials threw the caution for this one specifically was because drivers were going to be at some point having to make green flag pit stops, and if the 23 is stopped down there, I mean, we saw already under yellow them trying to maneuver their way around the 23 with not that much success. So you gotta keep that in mind. And so they throw the yellow flag, and that's a big break for the 4 drivers that elected to stay out under the last caution. They will more than likely keep their track position. Quentin Moore is going to cycle around as the race leader, it would appear, as he won the battle off of pit road. He might have gone with right side tires on that 89, as he was one of the drivers that came to pit road under the last yellow, able to leapfrog the drivers that absolutely had to take 4 tires, like Jesse Turner, James Qualls, and Chris Dollerton. Levi McIntyre is right now slated for 5th. Mitchell Collins 6th, Caleb Fogler, Joshua Osborne, Ryan Butcher, Anthony McCrory. Going to be the top 10 when we get ready to go back green. Going to be some traffic for the leader to deal with again. Matthew Rodriguez staying out. He is currently 7 laps down. In the 41st position, Michael Norman 1 lap down right now. Got one of his 2 laps back, being ahead of the race leader. Currently in the 39th position. Again, if replay worthy, we have shown you everything that has happened to the drivers that are currently off the lead lap, like Nick Gunther, Ryan Brommer, Michael Norman, to show you why they are off the lead lap at this point in time with unscheduled pit stops. As we get ready to go back green flag racing once again. Still all 42 cars running, 36 of them on the lead lap. As we get ready to go back green flag racing, our 3rd restart of the night. Quentin Moore ready to get us back underway. Jesse Turner was really good getting around then race leader Mitchell Collins for the top position on a restart. Let's see if he can do it against Quentin Moore. He's in a Joanna Atwood Motorsports sandwich with Moore ahead of him and Qualls on his back bumper behind him. Levi McIntyre already going to work on the inside of Chris Dollerton. A couple of former teammates right there duking it out for the 4th position. Remember the Rockin' Ranch Racing connection those two had back in the early seasons of Duracell Cup Series competition. Michael Norman making a pass around Matthew Rodriguez there. Try and put that machine between him and Quentin Moore to keep the 89 from putting him back 2 laps down. Chris Dollerton starting to fall back. Ooh, there's front end damage actually there on the 83. Not sure where that came from. Maybe the stack up we had there with drivers trying to get to pit road behind Nathan Ormond might be affecting the handling and the speed of that Whataburger Ford Mustang. McIntyre already made the pass around him. Mitchell Collins looking to do the same. Ryan Butcher right there as well. Ryan Butcher had a great run last week at Dover. Kind of an under-the-radar good finish for the 78 car. Gained 5 spots and stands up to 29th. Another kind of under-the-radar night for him here, as he's up in the top 10 again, battling for the 7th spot. Saw Ryan Butcher come on strong late last season in the regular season towards a playoff push as Levi McIntyre pushes up into the wall there off of 4. So keep an eye on this 78 car. 78 car has always seemed to perform well when it comes to the latter portions of the regular season in preparation for the playoff. You think back to, what was it, season 5, when we had 3 drivers per car, and it was a combination of Alexander Rowe, Ryan Butcher, and Diego Yepes, and they ended up together winning the regular season championship. Battle for the lead. James Qualls got around Jesse Turner for second, and now goes to work on his teammate Quentin Moore. Qualls looking for that second victory on the season, second victory in a row, easily going to make the pass around Quentin Moore. And James Qualls right back where he left off 1 week ago, out in front here tonight at Iowa. It's been a while since we've had a driver go to victory lane in back-to-back races. I think, if I remember correctly, the last driver to do it was Michael Norman. I'd have to double check on that, but I believe it was during the playoffs. Was it last year? Was it last year or the year before? And I believe Michael Norman was the last driver to be a back-to-back winner. James Qualls right now looking to be the newest back-to-back winner in Duracell Cup Series competition as they are stacked up from second place on back. It doesn't look like Quentin Moore has the gusto. Qualls made the easy pass, and Jesse Turner looks like he's being held up by the 89. Got to give credit where credit's due. I know that some of this was off of strategy, but all 3 of the Joanna Atwood Motorsports cars having great runs here tonight. Qualls in the lead, Quentin Moore hanging on to second, and Joshua Osborne just slipped into 4th, getting around Mitchell Collins. It's a great job by all 3 of those Chevrolets here this evening as we are at 20 laps to go this evening at Iowa. And James Qualls is starting to close up on Matthew Rodriguez, who is right now 7 laps down. Little concern there for Matthew Rodriguez in terms of where he'll be points-wise heading into next week in regards to battling for a wild card spot. Has to be in the top 30, be playoff eligible for a wild card position, and he is the cut line driver, 30th in points. And the problem for Matthew Rodriguez right now is all 42 cars are still running, and he is 41st of those 42 cars. So with no drivers DNFing, after all of the issues we've had so far here tonight for specific drivers, he's not been able to gain any positions and thus not gain any points. And a lot of drivers that were behind him in the standings are running fairly decently here. Quentin Moore was right directly behind him, 6 points back. Daniel Voiles was behind him, and while Voiles isn't having the best of nights, he's still running in 35th, and Matthew Rodriguez is 41st, as Turner finally gets around Quentin Moore, as does Joshua Osborne. Quentin Moore going to drop back to 4th, and the caution's out, actually. I think Quentin actually was 3rd, so yeah, he's going to take that spot there from Osborne. Yellow flag is out. Oh, and we've had a problem over here in 3 and 4. Look at the skid marks. We've had a big one. There's the positions that Matthew Rodriguez could pick up right there. Michael Norman's going to get one of his 2 laps back because of this caution, and Rodriguez will get one of his 8 laps back. And Kyle Matthews was involved in this one. A lot of damage on the Kings Island Chevrolet. It's been such a struggling year for the former champion. It continues here tonight. Cody Lamas involved. His evening is over. Daniel Voiles, Destin Bolin coming onto pit lane. A lot of torn up race cars in this one. With all the different sets of skid marks I saw over there in 3 and 4, I can't believe that only 4 drivers were involved, especially with the damage we saw sustained on a number of those cars. Pit road's open, but they might have been able to make it the rest of the way after the last pit stop, and yeah, you don't see anybody making the dive for pit road, so they'll all keep their track position here. Who does this start with, and were there other victims involved? Or was it really just a 4-car incident? believe this is going to start with the 09 of Kyle Matthews. He's going to get some help as they were, I think 3 wide, almost 4 wide here coming off of 2. Matthews is to the inside of his teammate Shelton, who gets into the wall. Matthews comes down across the nose of Matt McIntyre, hits the wall. It spins him back up the track, right into the path of several drivers, and there were others involved that we didn't have documented. Connor Breeden, Dylan Poteet, and RJ Bishop all got bits and pieces of that wreck as well. Watch again. We'll double back that replay. Shelton gets the wall. Matthews is trying to give her room, and Matt McIntyre's to his inside. And then right here's the problem, because when he hits the wall, he's no longer in control as it shoots back across the racetrack. And nowhere for any of these guys to go. I mean, what do? Slam on the brakes when you got somebody behind you? Dustin Bolin, Daniel Boyles, and Cody Lamas taking the biggest hits out of all that. I'll tell you who got through incredibly unscathed, I believe, was the 87 of Ryan Brommer. You want to see if you've got a little luck on your side? This is on board with the Twix Toyota. Watch how close he is to this one. Does make a little bit of contact there with the front end of the race car, but when you look at the smoke billowing from underneath, the 09, the 84, the damage on the 12. 87 of Ryan Brommer definitely got through that relatively unscathed. So we're going to get this restart in the neighborhood of 10 to go. It should be a couple laps prior to that, I do believe. I think the lights might actually be out this time, so if they are, then we're going to go back green with 13 laps remaining. Now, we had done so well. We'd had 3 cautions up to this point, but all 42 cars were still running. 2 drivers are now back behind the wall, at least that we know of at this point in time. Cody Lamas and Kyle Matthews. They will more than likely, with the number of laps we have remaining, finish in 41st and 42nd respectively. We've talked about the struggling year for Kyle Matthews and Cody Lamas just a few weeks ago. Heading into the All-Star break, we were talking about him making his way potentially up into the top 10 in points, and he has been on a downhill spiral ever since the All-Star break. Came into this one 23rd in points, and he will continue to free fall through the point standings with the DNF here tonight. So that will leave us with 40 cars running, 34 in the lead lap, and James Qualls gets us back under the green. Jesse Turner, Quentin Moore, Joshua Osborne, and Mitchell Collins were the top 5 here for what could be the final restart of the night. James Qualls has a very good long-run car, but Jesse Turner appears to have a very good short-run car. Quentin Moore trying to get to the inside of the 47, not able to do it. Now let's see if Turner can utilize that short-run speed to be able to get to and around James Qualls for the top position. Joshua Osborne will try and swing around the outside of Quentin Moore. A couple of teammates there for the 3rd position. Give it to the 27 off of turn 2. Moore will fall back into 4th. Pole sitter Mitchell Collins in the 5th position. James Qualls not able to pull away. Jesse Turner keeping him honest. The caution is out again. So we're going to get a restart with less than 10 laps to go. RJ Bishop may have been the cause of this yellow flag. Down on the apron as if there is something amiss on his Ford GT500. Laura Chung in the 77 way back here as well. She may have also been involved in the incident. Let's go back and see if we can figure out what happened. Well, apparently, Laura Chung and Michael Norman both were issued black flags, potentially for restart violations. We're going to see if we can find out what that would have been for. Oh, it looks like Laura Chung might have made a pass on the inside before the start-finish line. Oh, she definitely did. We'll go back and look at the incident, but this is why the 77 ended up getting penalized. Green flag is out, and she's obviously on the inside. Look how she beats the 25 back to the start-finish line, so that is most definitely a black flag penalty. And does Michael Norman do the same? Because he also got issued with passing before the start-finish line penalty. Yep, here it is. He gets to the inside of Connor Breton, and he passes him before the start-finish line. Granted, those two weren't battling for position, but the ruling is you cannot pass on the inside before you get back to the line. So both of those drivers were on pit road having to serve those penalties. That's why we saw Chung as far back as she was. This is what the caution is for, and it involved more than RJ Bishop. I believe it's Charles Sanford who the contact is going to start with. Sanford and Benjamin Miles. This is over out of turn 2, almost kind of similar to what we saw with Kyle Matthews and Jessica Shelton, except in this case, Miles is squeezing Sanford up into the wall. Contact made there. Ryan Brommer not so lucky in this one. RJ Bishop. And I believe Matt McIntyre and Nathan Ormond might have gotten little bits of this as well. This is, I think, probably kind of similar to what we avoided happening earlier on tonight with Zach Rogers and Daniel Voiles. Sanford was way up the track, and Miles just doesn't give him room, squeezes him into the wall, and well, Matt Haas also got a piece of that there. Ormond hard into the outside wall. And then RJ Bishop, Ryan Brommer, instant victims collected up as well. Charles Sanford coming off some pretty good momentum in the last couple of weeks. 24th in overall points for him right now. Gained 5 spots in the standings last week. Looks like RJ Bishop. Didn't look like a whole lot of major contact made to him, but apparently enough to take him back behind the wall. He'll join Cody Lamas and Kyle Matthews as retired out of the race. Well, that caution was a huge break for Laura Chung. She stayed on the lead lap after serving the pass-through penalty. So 33 drivers still on the lead lap at this point in time. And this green flag, this potentially final restart, will be with 7 laps to go. It's Qualls, Turner, Osborne, Moore, and Collins, the top 5. Dollerton, Butcher, McIntyre, Fogler, and McCrory are your top 10. James Qualls has been good on these restarts, but so has Turner. Green flag back in the air. James Qualls looking for back-to-back victories here in the Duracell Cup Series. Really wide there through 1 and 2. Was it too wide? Ooh, he almost hit the wall there off the second corner. Definitely missed that turn, but was able to keep Jesse Turner from closing up. Very impressive that he was able to open up the gap despite what clearly looked like a blown corner. Turner under fire from Joshua Osborne for second place. As Qualls has about 3.5 car lengths down the back straightaway. Here comes Osborne looking to make it a 1-2 finish for JAM. And if Quentin Moore can get up there, how about a 1-2-3 finish maybe for the organization? Osborne got his left sides down the apron there through 3 and 4. Got him a little loose, so he will not be able to stay alongside of Turner for second place at this point in time. Great battling back here in the latter half of the top 10. The closing stages of this one. Ryan Butcher, Chris Dollerton, Levi McIntyre there. All 3 of the Blue Oval Automotive cars are up here inside of, I believe, the top 11. Dollerton, Fogler, and Mills. Mills right now in that 11th spot. As Dollerton, maybe a little contact there, pushing the 78 up out of the groove. That's the battle for 6th. As up at the front, closest battle is for the second position. James Qualls is gone. He's opened up nearly a full second between himself and Jesse Turner. Here's the battle for 4th. Mitchell Collins starting from the pole, trying to make his way past the 89. Chris Dollerton closes up on this as well. 3-man fight, maybe 4 if you add in Ryan Butcher. And Joshua Osborne has gotten around Jesse Turner and moved into the second spot. Now does he have anything for his teammate Qualls with 2 laps to go? Got a lot of gap to have to make up here and not a lot of time to be able to do it. About maybe 4 car lengths here through 3 and 4. Osborne's going to have a flyer of a lap, and he's going to need to have Qualls make a mistake. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go for James Qualls. Last week, James Qualls snapped a 151 race losing streak at Dover Raceway. 1 week later, he's going to double down. He'll be a 2-time winner for the first time in his career. As here tonight at Iowa, James Qualls picks up the checkered flag and continues to put himself as a championship contender here this season. I love the fact that James Qualls was one of a few drivers that were the main reason that the new playoff format was implemented, with their consistency last season but lack of checkered flags taking them out of the championship picture. And 1 season later, James Qualls is consistent, but then we get to the second half of the regular season and says, hey, watch this, I can get the checkered flags too. Becomes the 5th different driver this season to capture his 2nd checkered flag, joining Casey Hoyt, Connor Breton, Matthew Rodriguez, and Jessica Shelton, and does it in back-to-back fashion at Dover last week and Iowa this week. Well, I mentioned that last season Mitchell Collins won this race, the first race from the 7th position. James Qualls did it from further back as he was 12th on the starting lineup here tonight. But he has had absolutely crazy fast Chevrolets in these last couple of races. Notable thing that you guys might have seen that I'm just now seeing on that last lap, tough break for 2-time winner Jessica Shelton. Engine failure on the final lap for that Project Dodge after she had just made her way up into the top 30 in points last week to put herself into a wild card position. So we'll have to see. It's like a 33rd place finish she's going to suffer here tonight with the mechanical problem. But how about this? Joanna Atwood Motorsports 1, 2, and 5 here tonight. We've talked about how Qualls has been the only one really keeping the organization afloat here this season. Osborne and Quentin Moore have really been struggling. Statement race for the organization here tonight with all 3 cars finishing up inside of the top 5. Jesse Turner strong here tonight. Led 30 laps. I believe that was the most of the evening, and he'll bring it home in 3rd place. Mitchell Collins led 25 laps. That was 2nd most on the evening after starting in the pole to finish 4th. James Qualls led 24 laps, 3rd most. The only other drivers to lead laps here tonight were 8 by Quentin Moore and 1 by Benjamin Miles. Chris Dalwerton brings it home with a solid outing of 6th. I mentioned about the Blue Oval Automotive cars there. Caleb Fogler in 8th and Jose Mills in 11th. Ryan Butcher, another great run for him. Back-to-back good runs for that Toyota as he gets 7th. Levi McIntyre in the conversation of the top 10 all night long in 9th. And Anthony McCurry, good run for that Mazda here this evening in the 10th position. Might make his way back up into the top 15. Reese Banks, another great run for him after breaking back into the top 10 in points. He gets 12th. We didn't talk about Austin LaPlante all night long, but he's going to get a good run in 13th. Zachary Fitzwater and his teammate Rob Evans in 14th and 15th. Will Goss brings it home 16th, 17th for Zach Rogers. Kyler Sestre in 18th. We'll see if he's able to increase the gap between him and the cut line with his top 20 run. Dylan Poteen and Keith Batson were the top 20. A battle we didn't talk about all night long because neither driver were anywhere up close to the front of the field was the points lead. Casey Hoyt had 21 points over Rob Evans. Evans finishes in 15th. Casey Hoyt finishes in 23rd. So that's an 8-point makeup for Rob Evans. So it'll be about 13 points separation between those two heading into next week. You got to think Jesse Turner finishing 3rd. He's going to be very close in that conversation next week as well. And as we make our way further on down here, a lot of drivers we didn't talk about tonight were mired in the mid-pack area, never able to make their way up to the front of the field. There you see the mechanical problem for Jessica Shelton, has her finish in the 33rd position ahead of lap-down drivers Nick Gunther, Ryan Brommer, Michael Norman, Connor Breton, Matthew Rodriguez, and Nathan Orman. Going to be a big question mark on where Rodriguez is positioned points-wise after coming to this race in the 30th in the standings cut line area. And Connor Breton, who was having a good streak of runs after his 2nd victory on the season at Charlotte, finished fishing down 37th. He was up 19th in points, but I've been saying this last couple of weeks, and it still continues to be true. There's only about 45 point separation between 13th and 30th in points. So there is a lot of moving and shaking that takes place in that area of the standings. A good run really benefits you. A bad run really hurts you. We'll see where Conda Breton is after this all shakes out. And Shelton, one of 4 drivers that did not reach the conclusion. RJ Bishop, Cody Lamas, and Kyle Matthews also out of the race before the checkered flag here tonight. But what a great job for James Qualls. I'm going to double check real quickly because I do believe, I'm going to double check my my memory here, that Michael Norman was a back-to-back race winner last season. And no, the last back-to-back race winner was actually Nick Gunther, and that was last season. Charlotte Roval and Kentucky Speedway in the middle portion of the second half of the regular season. Nick Gunther was the most previous back-to-back winner. Now James Qualls becomes the most recent back-to-back race winner after his first checkered flag last week at Dover, second one here tonight at Iowa. First time in his career that he has a multi-win season in Duracell Cup Series competition. Gotta wonder where this puts Qualls in terms of the point standings lead conversation. He was 62 points out coming into this one, and obviously going to get bonus points for the race win and everything. We'll see. But I think it's pretty safe to say, like, I know we can't take anything for granted, but I mean, how can you say James Qualls is not going to be battling in the playoffs with the consistency he's had and now 2 checkered flags to cap it off as we are around the midway portion of the second half of this regular season? We'll have to wait and see, but I think it's almost a surefire locked-in spot with this checkered flag here tonight. But what an unbelievable race weekend it has been. We saw an incredible photo finish last night to finish out a bit of a streak there for the lights drivers before they take their break until Suzuka. And here tonight, incredible racing all the way through the field. A lot of battling up there at the front, inside of the top 5, top 10. Some interesting timing of yellow flags with the cautions coming out and pit strategy. And James Qualls picking up the victory. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's race from Iowa. If you did, be sure to give this a like. Subscribe to our crew today. We showed you full fishing results, and you're now looking at your point standings heading into next week, as it's just the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series drivers from the Chicago Motor Speedway. Saturday pole day qualifying, Sunday afternoon. It is race day at the Chicago Motor Speedway in preparation for race number 18. We're getting close. We're getting very close to the end of the regular season. Playoff moves are being made, and there's still a lot more story to be written. So be sure to tune to next week as we say goodnight here from Iowa Speedway. You've been watching a production of NNSCRA TV Offline Racing at its best. So long from Iowa.